Currently Wednesday. Just getting everything ready to get packed up. There's Army there. Bringing extra stuff just in case, you never know. Maybe if I make day 2, make some switches. Oh, got this nice organizer. I love this thing. Oh yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Alright, it's 4:45 a.m. on Thursday. Headed to Chicago. Pretty tired, but we'll make it. Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't bring your camera and do a walk around.
I'm doing it right now. Hey, what is going on, everybody? My name's Luke, and today I'm going to be talking about my experiences at Adepticon. This was my first time at such a big event, gaming convention, and it was amazing. It was one of the best weekends of my life. Not only because I did so well in the tournaments, but just because I had so much fun playing in the events, and as well as just being at such a cool atmosphere, seeing all the different board games and tabletop games, going around to the different booths and seeing all the crazy stuff going on in the gaming world. So yeah, it was amazing. If you haven't ever gone to a big con or a convention like this, I would definitely recommend it. It was worth every penny that I spent going there. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my experience, as well as what happened in my games, and just kind of giving some shout outs to people, stuff like that. So we'll start off talking about Thursday. So Thursday we got there. Gave ourselves a day before the actual maximum firepower event on Friday. So Thursday we just kind of chilled and stuff. So we got there at like 7, and the halls didn't open until like 10. So we had like 3 hours to kill. So we just kind of slept and caught up on some sleep. I got like no sleep the night before. Our plane left at like 5 or 6. So I was up at like 4. And I don't think I went to bed till like 2. So got some, cat naps in before. Then the hall opened up. We went in, checked everything out. First thing that we did was help set up the streaming tables. Or maybe that was later in the day. I don't know. At some point in the day, we were helping set up the streaming tables for the 5th Trooper guys and Notorious Scoundrels. So that was really cool. I was really surprised by how much equipment they brought. They brought this huge freaking dolly with like boxes on boxes on boxes of equipment and stuff. So they definitely put in a lot of work, and I think you can see that it paid off with the quality of the stream. If you haven't checked out the streams, definitely do that. I was watching it even after the event. It's fun to watch. They did a really great job. So yeah, we were helped set up there. Then we demoed the new Lord of the Rings game, which is cool. So we got to do some other things other than Legion. We also then went to the FFG panel, which was awesome. The atmosphere in there was very ecstatic. When they opened up with Clone Wars, the room went nuts. I went nuts. I think everybody was going crazy. So we got to see that firsthand, and we got to talked to Alex Davey afterwards at the FFG booth about it and everything. There was actually, earlier in the day, there was like a missing like layer to their showcase. Like they had this open spot, and we were sitting there like, okay, what's going in there? There's definitely an open space for some reason. So later in the day, after the panel, they had all the clones and stuff in there, which was really cool to see. I'm just so excited for that. What else? Then later in the day, when the Arizona guys got in, you know, Brendan, Bushfax, Nathan, and I think Emily Pena was with them in the car right there too. So once they got there, we were setting up the tables and everything. It was really great to see, you know, all the guys that were there, guys and girls that were there, helping set up the tables and, you know, just doing whatever needed to be done. It was great because Alex Davey was helping out a little bit too, which was awesome to see. When we actually got there, sorry, I had to get the door. Somebody was at the door. Anyways, so it was really great to see that you know, everybody was just so you know, putting in work and all the effort that went into it. I'm really proud to be a part of this community. I think we have a great group of people. Everybody, you know, putting in work. It was really great to see. We actually had to add some tables to the huge rows that we had because there actually wasn't enough space for us. So we had to do a bunch of moving and stuff, which, you know, we got it done, you know. So that was Thursday. So that was just kind of a chill day. Then we stayed with the 5th Trooper guys and stuff in a huge Airbnb house. It was a kind of creepy house. It was just like completely empty. Like the TV was without a stand, and like the walls were really weird colors. Like clearly no one lived here. So it was kind of weird, but you know, it was a nice place to stay. We all got our own beds, which was nice. So I slept that night. I actually got really good sleep that night, which I didn't think was going to happen. I thought I was going to be, you know, really nervous and be thinking about all the lists that I might see and what I was going to do. But I got a full 8 hours, which was surprising. So then the next day we woke up bright and early, 7 a.m., got to the place by like 8 o'clock, you know, registered and signed in, waiting for first round to commence. So first round I played a Vader, Boba list, and guards he had as well. And then 2 snipers and then like 3 DLT teams or something like that. So he only had 8 activations. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, we got this win first round. No offense to the guy, but that list against my list just isn't going to do very well. I was running, you know, my 11-act list, Veers, Improvised Orders, Boba Fett, Hunter, Emergency Stims, and Recon Intel. I had 2 snows with Flame Trooper, Frag Grenades, and Recon, and then 4 DLT Storms, and then 3 Sniper teams. So total of 11 acts. Just about efficiency, maximizing like the best units in the game pretty much. The 2 Snow Troopers are kind of there for you know, protection against a push from like Wookiees or guards or anything like that. And they kind of also at the same time defend and kind of keep your opponent away, because if they come into that 2.5 range band, they're exposing themselves to get flamed and hit pretty hard. So, and then if they don't engage with them, they're just kind of my mobile attack out of cover, back into cover, line of sight, out of line of sight, shooting, putting down suppression. So if they don't push, I'm fine with that as well because they're still doing stuff. Then the DLTs are just the main powerhouse of the army, and then we got Boba Fett to do what Boba Fett does, which is awesome stuff. Threat of bounty. He's really fast, so he can push backfield objectives. Veers because he's awesome. And then 3 snipers. I decided to go with 3 snipers because in mirror matches against the 10 act version where you have guards, I think that the 11 act version has that edge over it. You get the extra DLT and a sniper for the guard, so that's kind of what the trade-off is. And basically my thinking is the guard are literally just hit points. They don't even attack really in games, so they're not putting out any damage or even suppression, whereas I have a DLT team who can do damage as well as suppression, and I have an extra sniper which can definitely do damage and do suppression. So and then on top of that, you're also getting that 11th activation, which in competitive play is huge. Being able to know that you're going to go last or even 2 times the last with 2 activations is really huge, because let's say you got Boba with a rocket, you can save him all the way until your second to last or last activation, and then you go first with them next round. So that damage potential is huge. And if you only have 10 versus the 11, and then you throw your Boba out there, you're exposing it to either 2 or 1 at least activations that can counter to it. So that's just my rationale. I know that the guards are good and some people use them really well, but it's just not my style. I like the firepower side of things and the extra activation. So anyways, back to that first game. I had 11 acts versus 8, so I pretty much had 3 or 4 activations where he had nothing to go with, and it kind of just snowballed from there. That was like the quickest game of the tourney. I was done like 2 activations in round 2. He conceded because it was just, he had no chance. But he actually did really well. He actually ended up 3-1 on Friday, so props to him. He just missed the cut by I think like 2 people, so that really sucks, but he did really good. So yeah, good job for him. My second game was against a well, I'm trying to think, what was my second game against? I'll be right back. My second game was against John Bushman. Many of you know him as Bushfax. He was part of that Arizona crew who had that crazy 30-hour drive out there. Props to you guys again for doing that. So he was running a Luke, Han, like 4 Z6 squads, and then 2 full Wookiee teams. So he had a lot of hit points in his army, but again, he only had 8 activations where I had that 11. And I think we were playing on key positions, so I think his plan was to kind of just hope that his hit points could outlast my firepower and then push on to the objective. That didn't really work out. I focused down his Wookiee squads right out the gate with all my DLTs and my snows. And then after that, I was also focusing Han with my snipers. My snipers actually took out Han entirely by themselves. So that was interesting to see. I didn't shoot at Han with anyone else but snipers, and they were able to completely take him out. They also managed to, even before he died, they managed to suppress him down, so he only had 1 action every round. And then after that, it was just like I killed Luke, and it was pretty much over. He was definitely a good player. We had a lot of fun with that game. It was a great board. I think it was actually his map that he brought. So that was a really cool table to play on. And yeah, so that was the second round. So we're 2-0 going into the third round. So now we're faced up against another 2-0. And I actually played against this guy who was running a Jin solo commander list. He had Jin and Z6 squads. He had a med bot in one of them. He also had, I think, a fleet trooper group. And then he had a full commando squad and 2 full Wookiee squads. So I'd only played like 1 or 2 games against Jin. And what he actually did with her, it was battle lines and like clear conditions maybe and intercept. And what he ended up doing was he threw Jin right next to the middle objective, like right first deployment. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to deploy my entire army because on battle lines, and he put it right in the center. They were within range 3 of deployment, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to open up and fire at her, which is what ended up happening. So the first round I fired everything at her, and I think I did like 3 wounds because once she starts stacking suppression, and she's got hard cover, and she has quick thinking, so she's always got the dodge through nimble. I barely did any damage after that first couple shots. She just basically charges up, and then it's like impossible to kill her. But I put so much suppression on her that into the second round, she panicked and hopped over the barricade that she was behind, actually towards my side of the board. So she got even closer to my side. And then I just kind of stepped up into range 2 with the sniper team, and I think they did like 3 or 4 wounds, no cover, and then with Pierce and everything, it just took her out and finished the job. And then after that, it was pretty much about just holding the middle, and I was on the left. I was holding the left with Snows. We were playing on that Bespin TTS board, if you know that one. So there was good spots to hide my Snows behind the wall, and then just pop out, pop back, and just hold down that zone. So yeah, it was good learning experience for me in that game because I had never played against Jin really, and I didn't really understand how much damage he can take and just not even take any hit points off, if that makes sense. The final sniper shot, I think he rolled 8 dice because I had 4 hits and he had, danger sense 4, so he rolls an additional 4, and he rolled nothing, not a single block. So that just wiped her out. So, but it was good learning experience for myself. I'm glad I played against Jin because actually on Saturday I played against another Jin list, so gave me some good practice. And then round 4, I played against Screwtape, Michael. Let's see, is it Hollingsworth? I'm looking at the list here. Yes, Michael Hollingsworth. This was one of my toughest matches. Well, it was my toughest match of the day. It was on stream actually, so if you get a chance to check that out, give it a look over. I actually watched it after, like on Sunday when everything was over. I had a chance to watch it, and in that game it was really, really close. So we played major offensive. I think it was clear conditions and key positions. So my turn 0 strategy on this one was pretty much I had 11x, he had 10, he had the guard version of it, but he also had the officer instead of Veers, which is interesting. And he had a DLT team with like the officer, and then he had four other DLTs with the recon intel. So their whole thing was to push out as much damage on that coordinated fire turn, and they usually tried to open up with it. So I kind of knew about what they were trying to do. So I first round in deployment, I just hid my guys completely. I didn't want to start off with that coordinated fire attack and have it snowball, so I just got myself in a position where even if he played it, it wasn't going to do anything. I made like a really good roll off with the snow troopers that I had. On the first turn, they were able to double move and snow and flame into one of his DLT teams. I think, yeah, they rolled off 2 suppression, which was like a turning point, and it was first round. So you can imagine how intense that game was. We also had a couple dice rolls where we rolled insane amount of hits, and then we both made an insane amount of saves. So it was kind of like, what is going on in this game? What is happening? It was fun. And then, so the next round after that, I was able to, with that same Flame Trooper squad, move once and flame and pretty much take out that entire DLT after 2 flame attacks. And then they moved their second action, and I put them in base contact with another DLT team. So that kind of took out his whole left flank for a turn. They basically did nothing, because then he had to disengage and shoot my last 2 dudes with his other squad. And on that turn, he actually played coordinated fire, and I played push, the 2-pip, so I had a niche. That's why I was able to do that. And as well on that turn, his Boba Fett from the round before was out in the open because he had played rocket, so he got a rocket shot off last act, but then it left him out to dry. And so my second turn, I just fired everything into Boba and ended up getting him down to 1 wound left, I think. And my bounty was on his Boba as well, so he, as soon as he pulled Boba Fett, he had to just get him out of there, and he couldn't really do anything with him for the rest of the game. So that was kind of it after that point. Then I rushed the middle with like a coordinated fire attack on the next turn and just kind of wiped the rest of his army. But it was a really good game, and Screwtape is a great player, so if you ever play him, definitely watch out, because he's really good. So yeah, we went 4-0, which I did not expect in any way. I was expecting maybe 3-1. That was what I was hoping with. But we went 4-0, so that definitely secured the invite to High Command. My dad, who was with me, also went 4-0, which was awesome. So we both going 4-0. We had the first and second place locked down. He actually beat me out on strength of schedule. So he got first and I got second. So he's not going to let that go. But it's funny because that happens a lot in our local tournaments, where we'll both be, 3-0, and then it'll go down to strength of schedule. And sometimes he'll take it, or sometimes I'll take it. So that happens a lot. But it was funny to see in such a big event like that. He was just really excited, as was I, to be playing in that second day. We were nervous that we were gonna get paired up against each other in either like the 3rd or 4th round. We were gonna play each other, but we didn't. So that was all good. And that first day was just like, okay, we can do this. We can win with these guys. So that gave me confidence for the next day. We got some cool prizes for winning and stuff. It was really awesome. All the people that put in the work for the prize support and everything. So yeah, we got these awesome medals. Those were really sweet. When it was time to leave, get on the plane, we were like, holy crap, are they even gonna let us on the plane with these things? Because they were they were pretty big, and they kind of were sharp. I mean, I don't know, you could probably do some damage with them, but yeah, they didn't do anything about that, so that was cool. It was funny though. So anyways, the next day, we're both in High Command now. My first match was against LJ Pena. Talk Polite, one of the most known guys in the community. He does, some awesome work for our community, and we should be really glad that we have such an amazing person, at the head of our organized play and everything like that. He's one of the main reasons why Invader League is a thing. He does run that whole thing. So this game, I was blue and on sabotage, so my whole thing was just staying back, and he has to get a point, or he has to kill something. So first round, he was very aggressive with Boba. He tried getting a range 2 shot onto my snow troopers, which he actually whiffed completely. And so then that exposed him on the second round, which we both played whipcord. So I ended up whipcording his Boba Fett because I got the roll off. Shot into him. I think I did 1 damage maybe. Or no, I think I completely whiffed as well. But his Boba was whipcorded, and now he's starting within range 3 of my entire army. So I was like, all right, we won this game. We got it. We got his Boba Fett whipcorded. We're good. LJ actually shook my hand across the table and was like, dude, you got this night. It's pretty much over. Like, we were both convinced that it was game. But the dice, you still got to roll the dice, man. So I shot my entire army at Boba Fett, and we did 1 point of damage. It was so impressive on his part by his rolls, but so disappointing on my part. There were points in time where it was like, all right, here's 4 hits on Boba, 4 saves, 3 hits coming through with a Pierce or whatever, 4 saves. I just could not put any damage into him. He ended up with 11 suppression on him at the end of round 2, and he then played Imperial Discipline, which he had swapped out from the day before. So he was able to clear all that suppression, and it was just like, oh my god, I just lost because I couldn't kill Boba with my entire army. So that was heartbreaking. There was a point later in the game where I had some DLT shots into his DLT guys. There was 2 unit leaders left, and the one double rolled off suppression and was able to get around the corner, and then the other one I put a DLT shot into, and then he double saved. So those were my only 2 opportunities to come back, but he was able to make the rolls again. So really close game. That was one of the closest games of the weekend by far. So I lost my first game, and I'm thinking to myself, well, there's really nothing we could do at this point. I don't think we have a shot, really, because if you lose your first game, then your strength of schedule is really hurting because you're playing people that haven't won yet, and that's what strength of schedule is basically based off of. But I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. We'll just try and keep winning and see what happens. Maybe we can sneak in the top 8. So round 2, I played Nathan Willens. He was running the Boba Fett guard version, so 10 activations. I think I turned 0 this game really well. I pushed it to breakthrough, and I have 11 activations. He's only got 10. It was minefield as well, and advanced. So I had played Nathan before on TTS in a really close game, and I knew that this one was going to be really close as well because he's a really good player. And what ended up happening was, with advanced positions, I was able to put my entire army at the spearhead, except for I put Boba Fett and a sniper team over on the corner, So I had lanes down into him without any cover. And he did the same thing with one of his sniper teams, putting them in the bottom corner. But I had 2 mines set up that way, so if he tried going through that way, it probably would blow him up before he got to my end zone. And then I think his biggest mistake was putting the 4 DLTs where he did. He put them in like his corner of the L, and what that ended up doing in the game was he had to basically spend 2 or 3 rounds moving them before they were in the fire, and he had some of his units at the spearhead like I did, so I just focused everything into them. I wiped out like a DLT and a snow trooper squad on like the first or second round. They were gone, so I felt pretty confident that I was going to win that game. Kind of just snowballed after that. I just kind of kept moving my dudes up. I kept like 2 DLTs and Veers at back at my end zone, just kind of protecting. But it didn't really matter in the end. Excuse me. So we got that win. So we're 1-1 now. We're going into the lunch break. I'm talking to my dad and stuff. He was 0-2. He had like a really close match. Well, both of his games obviously were close, but the second one I was next to it and I got to see a bit of it, and he was playing against R1H4 with his Pelp list, and he got his Luke completely blown up, where I think if he would have just ran and hid, he would have been alright, but yeah. So anyways, he was 0-2, I was 1-1. We're getting lunch, kind of clearing our heads. Third match comes in. I'm playing, it's like WWD Steven, I'm sorry if I got that wrong on Discord. Steven's his real name. He was running a Jin, Luke, Z6s, 2 snipers, and Pathfinder squad. He had 10 activations, and I was like, oh boy, I don't even know what to do against this list, because I haven't had much games against Pathfinders, and I definitely haven't played it against Jin at all. So my plan was on turn 0, it was pretty big. I think a majority of my games were actually won turn 0, but this one was, I actually made it, I think it was clear conditions. It was battle lines, which is good for the Empire because DLTs, and it was breakthrough. So on this map, it was the Yoda map where the center was pretty much wide open. So my plan was to just put everything on the bottom left corner and rush across the field. And then he has to try and kill my stuff. And I think I'm better at close quarters anyways with the snow troopers. And, Boba can do some stuff. And then my DLTs can just kind of light up everything. So he put his Jin and Pathfinders kind of in the middle. They skirted up and shot into my DLTs first round. I think he only did like 2 models were killed. And I had decided before the game that I wasn't going to shoot at Jin at all. But I ended up just throwing a random shot into her. It actually did 2 wounds to her opening round. And I had played Boba Fett Rocket, so I could have killed her, I think, opening round, but I put out all of my firepower into Luke, basically. So that rocket went at Luke, and I think it did 2 or 3 wounds to him on first round, so I felt pretty confident. My bounty was also on Luke, so that was important to me. And then after that, I think I maximum firepowered into Luke, and then did like a whipcord just for the 1 pip and killed Luke eventually with Boba. And then my whole army at that point was basically just running towards the objective, and I think it was basically over. There was not much he could do at that point. So I think I made some good decisions on the turn 0 part, which is, in my opinion, the most important part of the game. If you're going to practice anything, it should be turn 0 and knowing what your list is good for and what other lists you need against those lists, really. So yeah, we won that game. So now we're 2-1, and it's seeming like I'm in a decent position because my strength of schedule at that point, I was ranked at the top of like the 2-1s or close to it. So I was thinking to myself, okay, if we win this next round, we have a pretty good shot at finishing top 8. And my last game was against Casey, aka Garnanana, on the Discord. He's a really good player. In leading up to Adepticon, I think I played against him like 3 or 4 times practicing on TTS because I knew he was a good player and I wanted some good practice. He was playing the same list as Screwtape. They were kind of like a team going into it. They had the exact same list that they had been working on. So it was 10x versus 11. And again, I was like, all right, we need something that's going to be activation or like, getting unit leaders to objectives or stuff like that. So I made it breakthrough. He got battle lines, which he really likes for the opening fire, coordinated fire thing. One of the key reason I was able to control this game was in the deployment part of the game. I was able to bait him with a single DLT squad, which was a really good play. He even admitted after the game, he was like, was that a bait? Like, did you do that just trying to bait me into it? I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, that was a really good play. So I baited his entire army, basically. I put a DLT squad behind, line of sight blocker in the middle. And then I was kind of putting the rest closer and closer to the left until he started, like, fully deploying into the middle. And then I threw everything on the left. So my plan there was just kind of bait him to put everything in the center across from that DLT squad, him thinking that we're going to just have a shootout, but I just threw everything on the left, and because I have more activations, he has to kill something and get everything into the end zone, where even if he doesn't kill anything and I have everything but one activation in the end zone, I would win, or no. Well, either way, you get the point. So what happened in that game, it was just like I threw a couple sniper shots the first round into a DLT squad, got him down like 2 models, so he was kind of concerned about losing those guys. His Boba Fett came up, and my Boba Fett were kind of like firing at each other. What ended up winning me the game was my Boba Fett throwing a rocket shot into a snowtrooper group that only had 2 models left, so I ended up wiping that squad out. So then he had to push with his Boba Fett towards my Boba Fett, and mine actually ended up killing his and getting the bounty, so that adds a victory point, and then it was just over at that point. One of the biggest things I think that matchup is good for me is because Veers versus no Veers. I think there's definitely a reason why you should always go with Veers, in my opinion. But he had to do it because of what they were trying to do with that coordinated fire. They needed the points to fit everything with the tech that was going on. So we ended up 3-1 on the day, and 6 overall. It was absolutely amazing. The thing that really got me up there so high with the strength of schedule was LJ going 3-1. So thank you very much, LJ. I was like, after our first match, I was like telling him, dude, I need you to win out, because if you can win out or at least go 3-1, I've got a good chance of having a high strength of schedule. So we got the invite to Worlds, which is in June, and I am so excited and really, really glad that everything panned out, even though after that first loss, I was kind of down on myself. So there's a good learning lesson. Don't ever give up. Keep on pushing through and do your best. Thanks again for everyone that put the work into this event. It was amazing. I had an amazing time. You know, it was a great weekend for Legion in general. Even if you didn't go, you could have watched it on stream, and you could have seen the panel with the Clone Wars announcement. And I'm really excited for this game and where it's going. Our community is great, and just keep being awesome, you guys. Thanks for everything that you do. So I'll see you guys. Hope you have a great day. Hope this video was interesting to you. Yeah, so take it easy.